Try to get right through here. Can you get through there?
Thank you.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we are live.
How are you?
Who else are we expecting?
I'm not sure if Jason was coming in or not. Other than that, I think that's it.
Sometimes he zooms. Did he say?
I think he spoke to Josh and said he was gonna be here.
What time did you get to your lunch?
Oh, she could show us. The guy from the- 3 and 4. Yeah.
Let it begin.
Every day's a lazy day. Seems like Steve Smith would be here for that annexation.
You would think, wouldn't you? You would think.
Yeah, where's the annexation supposed
Maybe
to be?
on holiday.
Where's the annexation supposed to be?
Oh,
Oh, 6th and Cedar?
it's,
It's the last.
if you follow High School Road
Yeah.
and you make a right outside of town, and then you make a left, and you come to Bill Rutgers' property,
Yeah.
and then the next property is the one that's
Oh, yeah.
looking at it.
Hello.
How are you?
The planning commission?
Right here.
Well, awesome. Mari.
Marty, here.
Hi.
Hi.
Claude Oliver. Thank you. Good direction.
Sylvia.
Sylvia, you the mayor?
No, I'm the city clerk.
City clerk? I'm honored. Yeah, Claude Oliver. I did 30 years of public service.
Oh,
So,
nice, nice.
yeah, we probably were in a few meetings together, didn't even know it.
Okay.
Yeah. You are?
Well, the
Jimmy?
parcel will be annexed right
Yeah.
there.
The,
I'll show
Dan?
you.
Well, I've seen it. I've seen
Yeah.
it.
All right, thank you. Okay.
Okay,
Okay, so I'm gonna show you guys, because
Right.
we won't be able to go through here, here's the
Okay.
main door, okay?
Ah, got you. Thank you. We're learning our way around.
Oh.
there it is right there, Herb. See this little yellow spot right here? That's Bill Rutgers and this is Steve Smith. So the property being annexed is that first block.
Couldn't tell what your front door was or your side door was.
No, yeah. I always come in the side. I never come in the front. Maybe once. Yeah, I think once, in the winter once.
See? Oh, you got it.
We got it. Wonder how Bill will feel about that annexation.
What's that?
I wonder how Rector will feel about that annexation.
You know, he would be here.
Mario was here.
Okay.
Is this the part
primary
that's in
development.
hay now?
Visiting where-
Huh?
Yeah.
I'm trying to visualize, is that the part
Okay,
that's in
thank you.
hay?
Thank you.
Is that the part that's in hay right now?
Oh, it could be. I know that Steve Smith has hay on his.
No. And right on the other side of the high school.
Oh,
Back to
I
old
think it
school.
is, but I kind of think Simpson leases that.
No,
He doesn't?
no. It's anybody, it's Corstead.
Okay.
But I thought Corstead was.
I didn't know we owned property there.
Mario says still at work, let me know how it
Oh,
goes.
okay.
Well, he doesn't, it says Castellanos, but I don't.
Yeah, it says Castellanos.
What's that?
It
Are we
says the property
expecting,
owner is
Steve
Castellanos.
Smith and
I don't know
and,
who that is.
Jason Morrow?
I believe Josh spoke to Jason and he said he was gonna be here, but I'm not sure. if he's coming.
And I'll hold off for a little bit and see, I don't want to start with if somebody's gonna come. Still trying to visualize where this is.
Yeah, yeah, this one here is not easy for me, but the one where it shows Bill Rector's property and train tracks, that's the one that I can see a little better.
I remember, I think that field a long time ago was in Asparagus.
Oh, is it?
Well, I'm thinking that John Melcher had asparagus field there.
Yeah, his house is where Bill
Where
is
Bill
now.
is, yeah.
But it wouldn't have been that part.
It what?
I don't know if it'd been that part.
Yeah, this is the one that makes sense to me.
I can't visualize this.
Because this little one with all the little flats on it is like scrambled eggs.
It's hard for me to get Marty out when I look at these maps.
Yeah, I have to anchor on it so I can know.
Yeah.
I know where Bill Recker is. So,
Yeah.
Oh, sure, sorry. Didn't hear you tiptoe in.
And Steve, do we know about Steve?
Abby?
About Steve Smith? You know about Steve?
Josh, did you hear from Mr. Smith?
Oh, no, I called and left him a message, but I didn't ever actually get a chance to talk to him.
Okay,
He said he left him a message, but
didn't hear that.
yeah.
Do we need to turn on our microphones?
Yes,
here
please.
on this?
Because we're on YouTube.
Can you turn those on?
You want it on? Oh, they'll hear me breathing.
Okay.
I call the Captain Plan Commission to order at 6:12 on July 21st. Okay, pledge allegiance, please. Flag over here. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. A moment of silence, I guess. Or you want to go ahead and call the roll?
Planning Commissioner Morrow,
Yeah.
Planning Commissioner Hunt,
Here.
Planning Commissioner Adams,
Here.
Planning Commissioner Davis,
Here,
and Planning Commissioner Smith.
We do, you probably haven't had a chance to read the minutes. Jesus.
Mr. Hunt, someone needs to make a motion to excuse.
Right. To excuse?
Yes.
Okay. Entertain a motion to excuse Steve Smith from this evening's meeting.
so moved.
Okay, second, moved and seconded that we excuse Steve Smith from the meeting. Sylvia kind of told me that we were gonna have one, but I didn't get any agenda or anything, so I wasn't sure. So I came down and saw Josh, and Josh says, yeah, get yourself down here, so.
Sorry about that.
All righty, we'll do it, we'll get it done. Okay, we're gonna take a couple minutes probably to read the minutes from the last meeting.
Just 21 here. 21.
Any additions or corrections to the minutes of our November 18th meeting?
No.
I'll entertain a motion to accept the minutes as written.
I make a motion that we accept the minutes of the last meeting.
Seconded.
Okay, move and seconded, we accept the minutes from last meeting, all approve, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passed. Approval, or annexation application for Mario Castellanos. Okay, so I think somebody's gonna have to clue us in on what that process was, because this is the first I hear about it.
Correct, and I think, is it Riley Cobb? Someone was gonna do, who's gonna talk on behalf of that, Josh? Where we're at? And I think that's your guys' project.
Yes, it
So
is.
if you guys want to put some input, you're welcome to do that.
We're delighted to answer any questions you may have. We think this will be a fine addition to the community, and we're looking forward to doing it.
Sir, do you mind going up there and just?
Oh,
Yes.
down here.
Yeah, the microphone,
Okay, I
it's a
may
little
ask
far
you
away.
that.
So it looks like it's across the street from the nursery.
All right, we're coming in okay?
Yes.
Thank you. We're looking forward to the community. We're looking forward to getting 20 new homes in town here. We are delighted with your extension of your water and sewer services. Our site goes right adjacent to where you are right now. We just took up and extend throughout the rest of the site. And I think you see there are 21 lots. We're looking at turnout off the road there on that first east lot there off the road, and then going back into the rest of the property. But this is going to be a fine addition. One of the things we like to do is talk with community players about things that are going on in town. We like it to be a friendly living community. Now, one of the things I spent with 30 years in public service was bringing community services together. And a key thing for a community this size is you need community partnering, people helping each other out and seeing what we can do. Healthcare is a big one, and we want to see what we can do, talking with the community healthcare people, and work compatibly to bring services together to help them, help you, and help this community. We're excited about this possibility. We're a little concerned in terms of all the crazy price increases that government seems to be helping us get into these days like anybody. But we're going to work tight with our builders, and we're going to make sure they deliver a good product for your town.
Now, is that the strip of land there that's in hay right now?
Correct. You just go down in the first curve right there, coming down off of Main there is that strip of land starts right there.
It's next to Rutgers.
So it'd be right behind the old high school.
Correct.
I mean, to the
Directly
east,
due east
to
of
the
the
east
old
of
high
the old
school.
high school.
Yeah.
Yes, you're right. This property right here is owned by the school district, and that is the old high school.
Yes.
It'd be in that.
Yeah.
And you say that the water line and the sewer line goes to this property already?
It is our understanding it goes right on the street. If you're out on the street,
On High School Road?
yeah, right here on High School Road,
Okay.
that we would be looking at extending that on down into the development.
Oh, okay, so
Okay.
it goes to the end of this turn, huh?
That's our understanding, it's right there. But one way or the other, we're gonna capture that and go on in with the extension of water and sewer and utility service for folks living.
Now, are you going
Do you want to
to,
go ahead and back?
Oh, I'm sorry,
So
yeah.
people that,
are these going to be pre-built or,
you need to move your mic.
okay, are they going to be built when people purchase the lots or?
We're looking at a package deal for people buying the lot with a home. And so what we'll set up is a build out with a design style that each party selects, building it to suit their need on that site.
Who's the builder? Who is the builder?
We would like,
He said for the first phase, I believe it was open to both any builder. We're not tied to our guy. He's basically selling the lots, you know, in for this phase.
Our guy was.
Mario, I mean.
Mario
sorry.
Castilla is the
Custom.
developer,
Yeah.
okay?
Oh, he is. Is he a Mountainite or?
No, he lives in Pasco. But,
Okay, because I haven't heard of him.
Yeah.
yeah, he's not involved.
Yeah, you hear Bob Clark?
No.
He's born and raised here. He's one of our agents. But the main thing is to come to town, look at what you've got, look at what we're bringing in, look what we can do to bring the best matches together to make the town better than ever. So it's our goal, not just to come in and slap up housing and run. We want to come to town, help connect community players and services. One of the things, your school children, I don't know what the spatial school designation is back here. I want to find out. Do you know what that spatial school designation is, or the structure?
That's a,
Inspire.
Inspire is
Pre-K kind
Oh, pre-K?
Yeah.
pre-K,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, yeah.
And
of,
I'm
and that's not involved with,
The
not the
public
school
school,
district, the
no.
public school.
Oh, okay, all right.
Are you aware that there's 35 houses gonna go in across the 22? Are you aware of that situation?
Not fully. I'm glad to hear that.
I think that's the first phase, right?
These guys are separate than that.
Once I'm saying the 35, but I thought there was a secondary that was going in as well, possibly.
No. 35 homes by 47 homes north homes.
Okay.
Have we heard any updates on that? On the 35 homes that are going
No,
in
not
across?
yet. And that's why we had it on the agenda, thinking someone was gonna show up today.
when are they gonna start?
This gentleman here?
Sorry about
You're
that.
with that?
Yeah.
You're with the 47 North Homes?
Oh, you are? Okay. When are you gonna start it?
We're waiting on engineering right now.
Waiting on what?
Engineering.
Okay.
So they're doing their engineering, so setting up the streets and setting up the curbs and all that rest of
The
that stuff.
design is in progress right now, and we'll turn it in for permits when it's ready.
But that's 50 new homes in Mount.
How
I mean,
many,
it will be.
how many were you talking about, sir?
We're right at 21 in this phase. We're looking at a second phase, and that would be double that.
The
So
second phase would be where? Same place?
right next door.
Right next door to this one. So that
In,
property,
So would it be east or
that property owner would be,
Steve Smith?
Steve
is
Smith?
that Bill Rucker or Steve Smith?
Yeah, if you have same group.
You'll do
No,
what?
the owner of the property.
Yeah, and I'm not sure who Mario bought that from, but he has had those discussions with property owners to get it all lined out.
You said right next door, there's two parcels right next door. There's Bill Rucker's and there's Steve Smith's.
Yeah, we'll be glad to provide you details on that.
That's okay. We can
It would have to
wait.
be the lot too, I bet, because that's, Bill and Denise, so they got a small lot. There's no way they'd get 42 homes on there.
Okay, any other discussion here?
Let me confirm what I thought you said, make sure I heard correctly. Did you say you were going to offer each of the lots to the buyer, and the buyer comes in and chooses the lot and chooses the home, and then you build it?
Correct.
So you're not just throwing up homes and
No,
making it a
yeah.
fire
We'll have
sale?
300 styles that we'll be working with in this campus. And they'll be able to select from that. Then we'll look at and selecting the countertops and the other levels like that in terms of how it gets built out. It's a very friendly approach for
Okay.
people looking at that. We had one party when the word got out initially a few months back that we were looking at this project. Actually, he was going to buy in Sunnyside, but he grew up in Mabton, and because he heard about us, he wants to get one of our homes. So,
Lovely,
yeah.
lovely.
Good.
Good, no, I'm sorry.
Our GNO, Jim, can answer any questions.
Hi, so my name is Jim Nate with the city's, Creighton Osborne, the city's engineering firm. So this city asked me to be here in case you guys had any questions about the water, sewer, the engineering side of these potential
Well, let's bring
annexations.
up-
And so I'm happy to answer questions. The city has plenty of sewer capacity right now, fairly limited on water capacity, but in the process of adding a well that will increase the water capacity.
Okay, that was my question.
We're in the middle of designing the drilling of the well maybe 2 wells.
Where at,
instead of
sir?
1.
Where would the drilling be?
So we're working with our hydrogeologists on that, probably near the existing wells. They're gonna be near spatially on the surface, but different aquifers. So it's
Oh.
not the same bucket of water,
Yeah.
Okay.
but a different, like close on the surface.
What organization are you with?
Gray and Osborne, we're the city's engineering firm.
Okay, now the last time we dug a well, it was, it was
Was a
supposed to
disappointment. It
deliver 400 gallons a minute.
It was actually, we were hoping for 1,000 based on the
Okay, and
historical
so we
capacity of
get
the aquifer.
250.
Yeah,
And not only that, at the time they were building it, at one time, the well casing collapsed or something like that.
no, it started producing sand.
Okay,
Started
but the
producing
thing
sand and
that
burning the
bothered
motor.
me was that all that was blamed on the city and the taxpayers had to pay for that. And I kind of think when there's a contract out, that the contractor ought to be responsible for something.
Sure. So, I mean, that's obviously, that's,
But that well.
I can
was
answer your
supposed-
question. I'm like, this, it's a
That
historical
well was
thing, but to
supposed
answer
to
your question.
deliver 1,000 gallons?
That was the initial goal based on the historical hydrogeology of the aquifer, but that aquifer just doesn't have that much water left in it. And so it could only produce 200 to 400. So we were, so that's the first problem is you're trying to suck as much water out of that straw as you can, and there's just not as much water as there. Everybody thought it was good. It was a basalt well. Once it was put into production, it started producing sand, and that caused, we had to rebuild it, re-equip it for a smaller capacity because it was producing sand. So to your point, it was essentially the risk of well drilling.
Well,
To be honest, the contractor ate a bunch of cost, everybody ate a bunch of cost and lost money on it.
okay, now, if there's any way that well could be deepened to another aquifer?
It's specific to your water rights. So your water rights are for that bucket of water. And
Oh, is
so
that right?
at this point, given where it's at, I wouldn't put any more money into it.
Okay,
Get what
now-
you get out of it. Let's go to a different bucket of water and not waste time
Okay,
on that one anymore.
where did you say the location of, let's say the first well that where would you put that?
The next wells?
Yeah,
So the current idea with our hydrogeologist is to co-locate them with existing wells, so that we can use a lot of the existing structure and save money on that. And then the wells are gonna be much shallower. They're gonna be top 200 feet, or first 200 feet down aquifer, as opposed to a deep salt well. The city purchased some water rights about 5 years ago for that aquifer, and right now doesn't have any wells to use the water. So you have a water right for the water, but you can't access the water. And so these new wells will allow you to access that water. And so the surface, they'll be close to the existing wells, most likely. The final location hasn't been selected, but the depth, we're talking 200 feet down versus 700 feet down in terms of where the
okay,
water's
but that aquifer is overloaded with water? So there's plenty of water?
It has water, yes.
I mean, having water, it's not much, is it?
Well, it's
pretty expensive.
It's the water that's, falling as rain on the hills
Mhm.
and flowing subterranean to the river. So it's that same body of water. We're talking 200 to 400 GPM per well. The city would really like 400 total. And so
That
that's
would
why
be
we're
fine, yes.
working with the city to try to economize. We originally wrote as funding, the city's grant and loan funding was to do one well. Like, man, if we could squeak 2 in, that's why we're putting them near the other existing buildings. So we can squeak 2 in, all the better. Maybe we get lucky and they're both 400 GPM wells, and then we can all sleep better at night.
Because it looks like we're growing.
I have a couple of questions for Mara and Sylvia. I don't know if you can answer them or not. What about the development down here for the farm workers clinic?
That is pending. We have not heard nothing from them.
We have not heard anything because we accepted that
Exactly.
several years ago. How about down on, what would it be, 6th Street, all the way down?
That's the 47.
No, that's a
No,
different
it's
one.
not. It's down
The one
6th
there's 2
Street.
new homes
By
right
the
now.
cemetery?
No, Adams, over on my side.
Right, 6 and Cedar, right?
Yeah, it's down to the other end of town,
That's these guys,
but it's not 47
No.
homes.
or whatever their name is.
That is, it's part of, he's the owner,
Who?
the gentleman with the hat.
So you're working on the one down the road then as well.
I'm trying, that's why I'm here tonight, but
So there's 2 that you're working on. Gotcha. Okay.
And there's another one Ken needs, but we're not addressing that one tonight.
Good.
So a question about the water he's talking about, these gentlemen, do you know if the city water goes out to the property that he wants to build those homes on?
No, it goes, there's the Catholic Charities development.
Uh,
It basically goes that far. As far as I know, the Catholic Charities installed it, and then it enters the Catholic Charities development. As far as I know, that's the extent of the water, and of the sewer as well. I think there's a manhole right where the Catholic Charities entrance.
so
off High
just there to the
School.
left of the old high school,
And then it
basically.
flows in the lift station. And so that was why when the city sent me a preliminary view back, when we were first looking at it, one of the comments they sent back was I measured about 1,100 feet extension from existing city utilities to the entrance of this development, and then, potentially whatever additional water and sewer is needed within the development. So I think in my email back to the city, I said like 1,800 feet of water and sewer for a rough estimate. The other piece of that is that the way that's configured, that all flows into your lift station. And so you would need to make sure you had capacity in your lift station for additional sewer, additional discharge. Probably 21 homes is fine, but yeah, I wouldn't want to swear on it until I've done an analysis. And so I don't know how close that was to what you were anticipating, but as far as we know, and I've tried, we worked with the city, we tried to find the records from that development, and have never been able to find them. So our assumption is it goes as far as the entrance to the Catholic Charities, and then that's the farthest extent of city utilities.
So you understand where that is?
Close.
Yeah.
And for follow-on conversation, Mario will need to talk with you or the city on length of water, sewer, where they are.
The city has mapping, I can provide them with the mapping, but the city has the
All right.
updated mapping and stuff. Yeah.
Excellent, thank you.
Yep, no, want to make sure you have good information.
Okay. Wow, this has been exciting. Yeah.
Any other
Oh,
questions for
And
Tim?
Josh, can you double check with YB Cog?
Good afternoon, good evening. Byron Gums, Yakima Valley Conference of Governments. I do a lot of the planning process for the city of Mabton. My primary question is, has the annexation process for this property started? Because if we're talking about subdivisions and things like that, that'll be down the road. The first step is to make sure it's within city limits. And there's a process involved to get us there. So has a petition been provided to city council to move forward with an annexation and so forth?
To my knowledge, it has. It was in the application package some months ago submitted.
Yeah, I haven't received any of that documentation. So the first step is you go to city council and they say, yes, we want this piece of land annexed into city limits. And they let you move forward with a petition, and then that gets certified with the Yakima County assessor. And then there's a hearing or a meeting that's held to make sure that everybody's on the same page as far as, because you're going from a county zoning district and comprehensive plan designation to a city comprehensive plan designation and city zoning. So you need to make sure that those are clearly outlined of what is wanted for that and some of the requirements, and that there's need for it and so forth. Like there's adequate, as the engineer was speaking, adequate water and sewer, other services that the city would provide. So there's a hearing that's held regarding that, typically in front of a hearings examiner. Maybe this is that meeting with the planning commission. I don't know. I haven't seen any of the documentation in the record for this. But once the planning commission or the hearings examiner issues a decision, whether it's a resolution or a hearings examiner decision, that then goes to the county's boundary review board. And they have a period of time where they review it and provide notification to other communities. And then once that is completed, that time frame ends, it then comes back to the city council where they would adopt a resolution or an ordinance, rather, adopt an ordinance confirming that this is going to be within the city limits. So I'm not sure where we are in that process. I'm aware that there was a subdivision that was discussed. I know there was an early assistance meeting with the county. I know that there were some conversations with the city early on, but from there, I'm not familiar with what happened as far as the annexation process. So I'm limited in what I can speak to because honestly, I haven't seen any of the applications or any of the record leading up to this meeting.
If you would review city records, match up with his records and let us know.
Sure.
I thought we had it all in there. If we need anything at all else to be submitted, we will gladly do it.
Absolutely.
Okay.
We'll do our homework.
So what's the
Thank
one
you.
that's in here that says this notice to commence annexation proceedings dated?
Right, and then that
The
was just
6th
a
of April?
draft of it, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Could we, at some point, as a member of the planning commission, could you make up some kind of a chart showing the proceedings and what's going to happen, when it's going to happen, and
How, within what days and time
yes.
frames? Sure, absolutely.
And that's for both of these properties.
Okay.
So am I understanding that our job tonight is to recommend that the city accept the request and go ahead and move the process forward? Is that where we are?
Correct.
Okay.
Any more discussion here with, excuse me, what was your name, sir?
Claude Oliver, Tri-City Realty Group, Pasco, 1919 North 20th Avenue, Pasco. Tri-Cities Realty Group. This is our designated broker here for the company, Clint Oliver.
Anything else for, okay. So we need a motion to send this to the city council.
No, we're gonna do our homework and then we'll bring it back to you, okay?
Gotcha. Okay, next thing is Horizon Market Edition.
And that was, yes, remember how we just delivered those blueprints to YV Cog to review? So they're just gonna do some additional work to the store, Horizon,
Is it inside or are they going to make an
Inside, correct.
addition?
inside. Oh, connecting from inside.
Okay.
There's possibility they're gonna open an espresso stand, pharmacy, a restaurant.
We have, I personally haven't seen any blueprints.
Correct, and we just had him just to say if they were completed or not.
Okay, okay. So he's still in the process of doing it.
Correct,
But that's
That's on
probably
hold.
gonna be happening as well.
correct.
So we don't need any action on either of those yet. So we're tabling that until whatever.
Yes.
Okay. Now, 47 North Custom Homes Project. That's you. You want to move the microphone? Explain what we got going here, please.
So this is for the one on 6th Street. We purchased 5 lots from Ben Cheval, and we're trying to build houses on them. So we have 2 building permits issued, and we're holding up the other 3 because they said that the subdivision is not approved, is my understanding.
No, but it was approved.
I have something saying it was approved.
Right, correct, and
It's
that's,
short plat.
yes, correct. And that's part of the packet.
That's for the full 5 or just for the 2 or 3 that you're,
Well, there's 9 lots total.
that we,
We purchased 8 of them. One of them has double wide on it. And we have 2 building permits. We're just trying to get the other.
So are there buildings up there now
Yeah, we have 2 houses that are halfway done.
that are halfway done?
Oh, is that right? You started building, good.
Yeah, they issued 2 and then we got paused because there was maybe confusion on if it was approved or not. So
Well, it's glad to see we're
we're trying to build houses
following
here.
nails.
So you're also involved with the 47 North Custom Homes Project,
Correct, we have 35 lot development
right?
on South Street.
And that's going through engineering, did you say?
Correct.
Yeah.
We purchased these 8 because we were on the assumption that they were already ready. So we were gonna build the 8 to kind of get a feel for the market, what they want, how big, how small, price-wise, before we kicked off the full 35 lot.
These houses on the Sixth Street, are they, what's the connecting street? Is it Cedar?
Yeah, it's at 6 and Cedar.
6 and Cedar,
Oh,
yeah,
6
the Cedar
and
doesn't go
Cedar.
through yet.
Okay, I know where you're at now.
Down across Sally
Across from what?
Garza.
Garza.
Huh?
Sally and Loopy Garza's house.
Okay, all right.
Across the street. Any updates? No further updates on the 35 homes, though. That's just going through engineering right now.
Yeah, we should have the first preliminary back August 1st, and we'll turn it into you guys to see if.
Are you getting interested by selling these people?
Yeah, we haven't listed them for sale yet. We're gonna list them once they're closed.
Okay, but there's,
But we are getting calls and traction, yeah.
okay.
Sylvia, is there anything else we need to know about this situation?
Well, right now, let's see, Whitey Cobb, do you want to put some input in this topic?
So with subdivisions, similar to the last, the annexation and the 21 lot subdivision, I'm not familiar with this 8 or 9 lot subdivision. So typically subdivisions are a 2-part process where the first part is a review of the proposed plat, which is the site map that shows where the lots are going to be and easements and right of way and so forth. And there is a conditional approval that is issued saying that this will be approved once you complete any necessary utility extensions, road improvements. So if it's a gravel road, it may need to be paved with sidewalks, streetlights, so forth. Once all of that has been done, or there are occasions where you can bond for the value of that construction, then the final plat is recorded, and that gets recorded at the Yakima County Auditor's Office. It's the auditor's file number. You know, when you see an AFN, an auditor's file number, that means it's been recorded. So in order for a subdivision to be recorded, we'll need to look at what the conditions of approval were for the preliminary subdivision and ensure that all of those conditions have been met. And it may have been met, but unfortunately, I'm not familiar with the application and the requirements and what has all been met so far. And there may be the engineer. I apologize. I'm working from a laptop, so my speakers aren't very good, and I missed your name. But if the engineer may know more about the process and the requirements, and if those have been met. So if the subdivision has been completed and finalized and all the conditions met, then it's just a matter of getting the appropriate building permits in order to finish construction.
So for it to be finalized, it would be turned into separate parcels, correct?
Correct.
Because I have 8 separate parcels over there that we purchased. So that would, my assumption is it's already signed off.
Well, it might be, but
I would.
And it's part of your packet, it's on page,
It looks like it's the beginning of a process. It's saying, based on the findings, I should turn this on. And I haven't been involved in this process in terms of from a water sewer perspective. It deemed that the short subdivision application be approved and that the short plat preparation shall meet map and city code. So it sounds like it's saying we're approving the application, prepare your short plat. But I will, that's more for Byron's territory than I was
Josh,
trying.
are you taking care of that?
So an example would be a decision would say this is approved pending the following conditions of approval, and there would be a grocery list of things that need to be completed by the developer, the person that would be subdividing the lot. So it's one parent lot that gets split into 9 lots, and it would be things. So if there's a road that needs to be built, that road would need to be completed to city standards, and all utilities installed, street lights, sidewalks, all of those things would need to be in place and completed and signed off by the city engineer. in order to meet that standard. There may be other things like if you're within an irrigation district, whether it's SVID or ROSA, you would need that irrigation district to sign the final plat. There's a number of things that would need to be completed in order to satisfy the conditions of approval. And once all of those have been done, the final plat gets recorded and it would have all of those signatures on the plat. I'm sure we've all seen those before. And I apologize. I don't have record of.
In front of us, it says, based on the above findings, the short plat administrator has determined that the short subdivision application be approved and that the short plat preparation shall meet the city of Mapton code requirements. So has it been approved by that wording?
So the first step has been approved. So someone says, hey, can I subdivide my land and make it look like this? And the first answer is yes, if you do these things. So it sounds like the second step, we need to confirm that all of those things. So whatever the city standards may be, oftentimes it's a certain road width, if there's sidewalks on one side or two sides of the street, if there's certain AASHTO standards for road construction. I mean, if it's gravel, if it's 4 inches of ballast and 2 inches of crushed with BST over the top, whatever that may be, all of that needs to be certified prior to a final plat being recorded.
My understanding, Byron, it sounds like these are already separate parcels, that it's already been subdivided, right? So the parcels they're talking about are separate.
So if there are,
if they're subdividing anything at this point, right?
Right, we're just trying to build on them.
They're just wanting to build on them.
So if they're all individual lots of record, then it's a matter of building permits and getting your connection permits for water and sewer. It'd be like you or I buying a vacant lot and building on it. There shouldn't, if everything's been recorded, everything should be completed according to the subdivision requirements. The exception I can think of is if there was a bond that was issued or some sort of escrow for site improvements in order to finalize it before those were built. Because sometimes developers will phase their projects and they may need to bond for subsequent phases while they raise capital through the sale of the first phase. And if that is there, then that needs to be done. But outside of that, from what I'm hearing is that there are existing lots of record that can simply be built on.
Now, on that stretch 8 lots, are there gonna be roads involved in that? Are there gonna be curbs? Are there gonna be any sidewalks or any improvements like that in your area down here?
Not that I know, because there's already a road going through there with utilities on it and everything. We're just tapping into the utilities.
Have you, on this, I'm talking about the 6th Street, we've already built. Are you aware of all these things that he's mentioning? It's easy to take a plot and plot down the square and say, houses here and now, but all the things, sidewalks, roads, streetlights, are you aware of all that?
For there?
Yes. I'm talking about the 6th Street.
No. Our understanding is when we purchased these lots, they were ready to be built on lots that have already been recorded. We just have to tie into the water and sewer to service those lots.
That
was the only requirement that we saw in here.
Do you know anything about that?
Now, in the 47.
That one we have, street lights.
Because he's already started building houses.
The whole thing.
Right.
The whole thing is gonna be.
It's gonna be a cul-de-sac.
That's a subdivision, so that's a whole.
And that's the second big one on the backside, is the cul-de-sac one.
Have you spent some time talking to the city about these?
Yeah.
You have? Okay.
That's why we're here tonight, because we have 2 permits. We're just trying to get the rest of them. They told us we had to go to this meeting to see if it was approved, but it sounds like it's already been approved.
Well, it sounds like it,
Paper right
yes.
here in front of us.
So we just like the permits to be able to build houses,
So that's the main reason you're here tonight, get the permit,
to get the building permits for these ones, yeah.
and that has to go through the planning commission?
I think there was miscommunication on whether it was approved or not.
Anything else?
Josh?
Yes, ma'am.
What's your input?
So I think that we're kind of getting into the heart of the discussion at this point. So the lots were approved divided, and so they were like, so can we divide the lots? You know, the city said sure, but at that point we didn't know what was going to happen over there. And so now then we have, you know, so had they been sold off individually, you know, to private landowners or something, that might have been different. But then the developer came in and said, okay, well, I'm going to build houses on this whole strip. And it was like, okay, well, we didn't have the whole story when they did the plat in the first place. So that's kind of where the discussion is. That's
But
what
have
that's
they
where
been
that's where the disagreement is, if you will. It was, well, if you go in and you put a house on every square, that's clearly a subdivision, just like all of these other subdivisions that are going in, even if it's small.
Anybody been issued a permit to build a house?
Yes.
They have?
Two.
Just 2 or 8?
Two of them so far.
2 so far.
And that's been issued?
Correct.
Okay,
It's half built, you said.
what, you have a permit for those 2?
Yeah.
Okay, and
But
you're
he's wanting
looking for a
the
permit
other-
for
All
the
the
other
other 6, yeah.
Oh, okay,
Right.
right.
Because I'm not the developer on this, I bought these as finished lots. So this development was done, or this approval was done in 2020.
Well, if you issued for 2 already, is there any problem with the other 6?
Well, there's not a problem, but the issue is that they started out with 2, and so they're doing 2 and 2 and 2. So it sounded they were going to do a developed area, and so we're questioning about sidewalks, streets, and, you know, stop signs and stuff like that, because they're doing 2 at a time. So that was our question.
So if I may, so all of that would have been addressed at the initial review for the subdivision. So that's the whole purpose of the review, to determine if there are road improvements, concurrency analysis to make sure that street signage is appropriate, level of service standards for the roads and intersections aren't dropped from the addition of this development to the community. So the preliminary subdivision would have reviewed all of the impacts for residential development on all 8 or 9 lots being created. And if at that time it was determined that the addition of these homes to the community didn't result in the need for any of these additional road improvements, or if no sidewalks were required or streetlights, all of that would have needed to have been addressed with that decision. And it would be the same if 8 different people were applying for a building permit or 1 person was applying for 8 building permits.
But it hasn't the preliminary been done on these 8 lots?
Happens, you need your.
That's my understanding.
That it has
It
been
says here that
done?
it's been approved, so he should be able to.
The 8 lots have been approved?
Yeah, well, they're 8 separate parcels.
So you need just 6 more permits, is what you're asking for. And that would be up to the city, wouldn't it not?
Right, and they're saying it's okay for us to issue.
You don't need our permission for that. Okay.
And it would be subject to whatever conditions were applied at the time that it was approved.
We're good?
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. Do we need to take any further action on that? What's Scarlet Estates?
That's his.
Oh, is that what you're calling it? That's with
That's the other
the
one.
main one, the 35?
Yep.
Yeah, okay. So I already know about that.
Yes.
Okay. Anything else to bring up tonight?
Question of the clerk. Is there any action needed on our application tonight?
Not tonight. We'll reach out to to you tomorrow.
Okay, we'll talk tomorrow,
Yes.
okay. Thank you.
It sounds like we're gonna have a lot going on in Mapleton. I kind of think that we either ought to get updates, the planning commission, or we ought to have more frequent meetings
And that's why
to know what's going
decided
on.
to do this. Yes, that's why.
Yeah, I'd like to get this ahead of time,
Correct.
you know, so, because you told me that, well, we might be having a meeting this month.
Mhm.
And I never heard anything until Adams called me
Mhm.
and told me, do we have a meeting tonight? And I said, well, I don't know. I heard, you know, so I came down, talked to Josh, said, yeah, went over, got Adams, came over
Right,
here.
and things came up that we had to close down City Hall.
There's certain things that the planning commission just discuss amongst ourselves that are done by the city that we think should have been gone through us.
Correct, and that is why,
And maybe that's why we need more frequent meetings.
absolutely. And now me and Marty are in charge of this department, so we'll make sure we try to keep up with our meetings.
Okay, let me get this straight. Have we put in for grants for a new well?
Yes.
Yes.
We have.
The city has received a $1.75 million, 66% grant, the rest of its loan package for a new well. And we're working on that in 2018, 2019, 2020-ish. We received the funding, worked through the environmental, and now we're working on the drilling design.
Now, what is your position again?
So the city hires Gray and Osborne to be their engineering company,
Uh-huh.
and I work for Gray and Osborne.
Okay, one of the concerns in the last few years is that there's some dairy farms that are emptying the water from our aquifer. Is there anything we got to worry about there?
Water is a limited resource, so it is always a concern that if they have their water rights and they're operating within their water rights, there's not a lot that can be done to the extent that the water's going away, then there's
Well,
a potential for curtailment.
When
But
they gave these permits to the dairy farms, there's supposed to be meters on the water. And I'm not sure if this is being loosely applied or what, but it's a concern.
Sure. And that's why these new city wells will be in a different aquifer than the existing wells, and so it's kind of nice because you get straws in different buckets of water. It kind of gives you more redundancy and reliability, for sure. Yeah, I can't speak to some of the rest. That's more ecology's kind of level of management of the aquifer and of the dairy's water intake. But yeah, no, it's a good point.
Gentlemen, do you have anything else to report tonight?
Appreciate your time tonight very much.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming in.
Okay. And anything else you did bring before the planning commission? I'll entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting now.
So moved.
Move that the meeting be adjourned. Here a second.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Meeting adjourned at 6:58.
Thank you.
This is gonna be on YouTube, we can find later, the video.
Have a good